It was a snowy January on the island of Sodor. The island was covered in thick lust of snow, frost, and everywhere. One morning, Thomas was just about ready to take his first train for the day. His old snowplow from a year ago was attached to him. His blue one was broken. "Don't worry," said the fireman. "The blue one will be back in service before you know it." The driver had to concede. "Of course, Thomas. Don't worry. I know we hate that plow, but that's the only plow available." The coaches, Annie and Clara Bell, had to agree. Thomas made his way to the station. At the station, Gordon and Nia were waiting to leave their trains. Nia with a very important train of fruit, vegetables, and markets to head to the farms, and Gordon taking his express, but carrying his mighty snowblower he previously used in Season 5, which was an utter failure. However, at Nafford platform, Butch the tow truck was called in. Bertie the bus's engine had failed due to the cold, extreme cold winds. Bertie, unfortunately, felt sad. There were still some passengers inside. They couldn't be able to transfer as a result of falsified information, so they had to be towed. A porter loaded the last of the luggage on Gordon's train. Sir Topham Hatt stepped out of his office. "Good golly," said Sir Topham Hatt, "it is a mighty, mighty cold day. Everyone must be wearing their snowplows and use their sand and salt boxes wherever they go. I am sure that everyone will do just fine, but we've had previous instances of engines sliding on the rails and crashing into things, so be very careful, engines, and mind the blind spots. They are imperative, especially on the road." At that moment, Thomas arrived with his passengers. He spoke to Nia. "Man, Nia, this is pretty much winter." Nia had to agree. "Oh, thank you, Thomas. This is a lovely day, isn't it? Lovely snow. On my old railway, we never had snow. We just had bits of frost here, there, and everywhere." Then she looked at Thomas's snowplow. "Well, it's just a temporary snowplow. It's not my usual one. But trust me, my usual one is much better than this old rickety buckets of rust." Then Thomas looked at Gordon's snowblower. It was mightier than ever, and was prepping to go. Gordon did not like his snowblower after what happened at Henrietta's tunnel in Season 5. But the drivers and firemen assured to Gordon that everything would be just fine, and that all would be settled in the end. Through whistles, they jumped into the moose, and Gordon roared away, his mighty snowblower intact. Passengers laughed and screamed toward the platform. Those who were waiting for trains focused on Gordon's sad expression. Gordon did not like that at all, and the coaches felt sorry. Some of them teased along the way as they made their way towards the end of the line. At Henry's tunnel, it was all quiet, but Gordon didn't realize the rails were slippery and that trouble would be on the rise. A few minutes passed. Tunnel. Pops through the end of the tunnel, the passengers shattering about in the coaches. But then it happened. Due to the cold winds and the extreme temperatures, Gordon unfortunately came to a slow and saddened stop just outside the other end of the tunnel. The passengers then started to get concerned, and the coaches were very puzzled. The driver and firemen were very horrified. Gordon was stuck. He had nowhere to go. "I'm sorry, Gordon," said the driver, "but you've run dry. The cold air has frozen your boiler. You're done for the day." It was unfortunate. Gordon's fire was dropped. His pressure depleted. And later, Thomas arrived with a very full Annie, but a not so very full Clarabelle. Thomas felt sorry for his friend, but he couldn't stop laughing. The passengers of Gordon's coaches got into Clarabelle as Annie was full, as I just mentioned in the previous slideshow. And Gordon, he didn't say a word. He just was like, "Fine, that's how it goes." Thomas laughed. "Oh, Gordon, I'm sorry about your incident, but things happen." Annie and Clarabelle felt concerned about Gordon. They had high respect as they had in that episode of the Mayan episode. With the mine closed and the Leviathan sealed, Tomas made his way with fine powers of his own train and Gordon's passengers towards Tidmouth, to where Tobias was to take them to the quarries. As help was called along the way to save Gordon, Thomas made his way to Tidmouth. Not too long after that, he saw Toby and Edward at Tidmouth. But then it happened. Thomas overshot the platform as a result of the slippery rails. The passengers were concerned and very cross. Embarrassingly enough, Thomas backed the train to its platform to let passengers off to go to Toby's train. My, said Toby. That is crazy of you, slipping on the rails. Use your sandbox, my friend? Should use it more often. Thomas, it blushed embarrassingly. That was a nice roast, Toby, said Edward. But I must say, you and I have had our fair share of slips and slops, here, there, and everywhere. That indeed, my friend, said Terence the tractor, who had to come by as a result of helping to plow the streets full of snow from the previous snowstorm. Farmer Finney was very concerned for his tractor, but assured things would be fine. Sir Topham had arrived. Yes, I have. Due to magic, I said. But anyways, very well done, engines. Now I must wait for Bertie. He's expected to go to the works. Wherever he is. Bertie and Butch were still stuck in Nafford Station. Butch had trouble with his engine, and couldn't do anything about it. His driver tried to call for help, but no one rang the bell. Soon, his engine ran to life. Then, it happened. His engine stalled. Then Bertie's engine ran to life, and he had to tow Butch. They drove ever so steadily on the road. The engines laughed and giggled. Even the construction workers found it funny. They soon made their way along the roadway. Road met rail at this point. There were no engines in sight, as not really any business was going on. Butch felt silent for a second, felt embarrassed. After towing Bertie a year ago, it was his turn to be towed by the bus. He was thinking, what would the other vehicles say, or the other engines that would come by along the lines? Regardless, they made their journey no trouble at all. Ho ho ho. Ha ha ha. Some of the hills were tricky, as Bertie tried to ascend the hill with his pack of wheels ascending. They soon passed the waterways and over the bridge. And finally, after well over an hour, Butch's engine roared into life, and he was able to tow Bertie to Tidmouth. Both vehicles were relieved that their ordeal was over, and that they would be in need of a long rest for now. Butch and Bertie explained everything to everyone. It was quite a coincidence, we were all just... My engine was failing, his was failing. We towed each other, funny enough. Terence had to laugh. Man, you usually tow trucks and tow vehicles, but you were the one that got towed in the end, said Edward. He had to laugh, and so did his driver and fireman, who nearly had a heart attack. Yes, indeed, said Toby. But regardless, things just happen now and then. I mean, I remember taking the road years ago, but then my drivers and firemen figured it out, and I got back on the line. That's different, but I can see your point there, Toby. Regardless of it all, things happen here, there, everywhere, now and then. Ha ha ha. The drivers looked down and examined the vehicles for any further damage. And soon, a luggage trolley came by and began to unload Bertie's trolley. Passengers and parcels unexited Bertie, and they made their way to Toby. Soon the last of the luggage went into Henrietta, and all was set. The last of the passengers boarded the Henrietta and the CCT van because Toby was busy taking workmen to the quarry. He then made his way to Farquhar as the guard blew his whistle, and Tobias made his way towards the branch line. Things were about to happen. A very unique day, I say, said Sir Topham Hatt. Role reversals, tow trucks being towed by buses, and the other way around? I may need to invest in some vehicle like that. But what a start to the year, I say. SnowPlow Rage in a nutshell. Everyone had to laugh. They reflected on their funny moments. As for Gordon, well, he was sent back to the sheds as his snowblower was decommissioned for the year.